Welcome back, y'all. It's the Amanda Seales Show. I'm Amanda Seales, and it's time for State of the States. I am a very big believer that this country is attempting to really limit its federal power and put the power back into the states. And it's not even a belief. That's just what they're doing. So it's imperative that you all pay attention to what's happening in the individual states because, baby, they will copy and paste it to you. Right now, let's talk about South Carolina and Louisiana and abortion. So we're focusing on South Carolina and Louisiana today. There's a bill titled the South Carolina Prenatal Equal Protection Act of 2023, which sounds absurd. And it would classify abortion as homicide with penalties ranging from 30 years in prison to death.
Wow, not death.
Wow. So when we
Wow.
see shows like The Handmaid's Tale and we think that it's so far-fetched, it's not. South Carolina is one of 2 states where women can face criminal charges for illegal abortions with penalties currently up to 2 years in prison and a $1,000 fine. The House and Senate remain at an impasse over their differing abortion bills, with Republican leaders seeking a resolution. Now, I'm talking about the House and Senate of South Carolina, okay? So, the reality, though, is that they are looking to take this as extreme as they can. And it's kind of like, when you negotiate, you'll be like, yeah, I want $1 million, knowing that they're not going to give you $1 million. So you're like, I know that if I get at least 500, I'll be happy. This is what they're doing. They're going to take it all the way to the length, knowing that if they can get even something on the way to that, it'll be better. But for women, none of it is good. So even if they don't end up making it about a homicide charge or, 30 years to murder, any amount of jail time is a problem. And what happens with bills is that they'll present the bill and then the bill gets debated on and then they'll negotiate the bill down to try and get it passed. So if you start it, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Extreme, then you work it down to just radical.
There you go. Boom. Boom. You just made it so clear for folks. Now, what else is going on is happening in Louisiana. Louisiana passed a bill to make mifepristone and misoprostol Schedule 4 drugs, and it is now sending the bill back to the state Senate. Now, these are abortion pills that you can take so that you don't have to get the actual DNC, which is an invasive procedure. Louisiana has banned almost all abortions since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022. And the new bill aims to further restrict abortion by classifying these medications as controlled substances.
Question.
So
a state can classify something as a controlled substance? I thought that was a federal thing.
Yes, they can.
Interesting.
They can. I mean, that's why we have like weed is legal in some states, but it's not in other states.
Okay. But it's still federally. So federally, it won't be illegal. It'll just be illegal in that state.
Right.
Because weed is still federally illegal. Okay.
Which just simply means that you can go through the channels of Supreme Court, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but you still end up still doing time or whatever in the meantime, in between time, or appeals processes, et cetera. I mean, what's happening here is a really concerted effort at bringing this country back to what they consider to be its heyday. And a lot of people will try and act like that's not a real thing, but the Constitution was written to elevate and to preserve the lives of landowning white men. So when you see the young man who did the football player who did that, the commencement speech, and he's like, women need to be happy to just be at home, et cetera. That shouldn't be taken lightly because these are not extreme views. These are views of people who have a certain level of power in this country that want to and have always upheld the Constitution as the greatest law of the land, even though it is very flawed. It is very flawed. And when it had the opportunity to be corrected during Reconstruction, the Supreme Court actively blocked it. So we have to look at history and understand these things as we see these movements happening, because what we're watching is the very concerted effort at reverting the levels of progression that have happened in this country. Exactly when we see about the Fearless Fund and the Edward Bloom, they're using the law that was created post antebellum to bring equality to Black people. They're literally using that exact same law and calling it discrimination against white people.
Yep. It's amazing how they flip that around and try to spin that when it's all cap at the end of the day.
But you know what? It's like they saw this coming, because when the Supreme Court was, when Congress asked to make those laws specifically about protecting Black people back in the post-antebellum
Nope.
time of Reconstruction, Supreme Court said no.
Nope, not
So
at
they
all.
left the law open-ended so that they could flip it when they wanted to. And here we are. We'll be right back to the Amanda Seales Show. We up. The Amanda Seales Show.